Hey friends, it's Joe from DadBod, and today it's around 74 degrees and 4:54 a.m. in Tokyo, so good morning. Might be a little early for you. Today we're going to do a recovery walk. It's going to be 0.75 miles. Just an opportunity to reflect and recharge as you're in the middle of week 2. So let's get to it. I'm going to pop you on my head. So again, we're walking the same loop that you should be getting used to. This is going to be Todoroki Ravine. 1 second. Get you comfy on my head. There we go. And I gotta turn on my walking app. Sweet. Thank you. And as this is the recovery workout in the middle of the week, we're going to end it with a little bit of reflection sitting by the river, just like every week. So looking forward to that, y'all. The things are going well. In my life, I'm super busy, as I normally am. Work's been pretty crazy. I don't know if I've shared this much yet in DadBod yet, but I work for Johnson & Johnson on surgical robotics technology. So I've been an engineer for about 8 years now, but this new role is more of a marketing, business development, global leadership kind of role. And it is super hard. I was kind of reflecting a little bit. Sometimes I just feel like a kid wearing a suit. There's days where I feel like in the pocket, perfectly like in control, set in the direction, doing the stuff. And then there are other days where I'm like an unqualified imposter, just again a kid wearing a suit in a world of adults. So it's been a fun job for me. Like sometimes I forget that I'm 31 and have been engineering for almost a decade, so I exclude myself from the table. But I think the last couple weeks especially have been just a great opportunity for me to prove to myself that I belong. Even though I've been doing this job for a year and almost 6 months now, maybe a year and 4 months. Yeah, because it's been a while since we've moved to Japan. It's been a lot of transitions for our family. J&J just went through some layoffs, which impacted a lot of my friends in the US and almost impacted me. So it's been a journey for sure. And I think I still carry pieces of that journey with me. Our family relocated 12 times in 1 year trying to get to Japan. So because of that, like, we displaced our kids so many times. We have trauma responses whenever there is the possibility of things not working out and us having to return quickly. I mean, initially when the layoffs happened, like, we were thinking we were within like another 1 or 2 month window. That didn't happen, which is great. But I still find myself working out of fear of failure, that if things don't work, I'm gone, which impacts my family. Where at the same time, I'm trying to like do some woodworking to make furniture and make a home out here and really build relationships and friendships, while at the same time feeling stretched towards being unattached. So I go between psychologically being attached to life in Japan and being present here, and even thinking like these friendships are long-term, kind of building that mindset, while at the same time feeling like I need to stay unattached so that it's not hard when we go. Same kind of stuff you navigate like your senior year of high school, when you're making all these when you're choosing like, how friendly do I want to stay with these people? Because when I go to college, I have to start over. So those are some of the challenges of like international rotations that people don't talk about. Whereas like external looking in, as I've talked with people, they're like, you have the dream job. My response is like, I am highly privileged to get to live in Japan with my family. Yes. Yes to all that. This job is incredibly difficult. I've had more anxiety and panic attacks and feelings of inadequacy and stress than I've ever had in my whole career. So it might be your dream, but depending on the day, it's my dream or my nightmare, you know? So it's fun. But I'm highly privileged to get to live in Japan with my family. But it's definitely been a journey. So hopefully your work's going well. I guess I'm realizing I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but I can't hear you directly next to me. Right, you're right here. So you can comment what you do for a living, how's work, what's working, what's not. I'll read the comments. I'll drop into your life a little bit. We all have struggles and difficulties. We all feel pulls towards being more than we can be. One of the interesting areas for me also is like the tension of time management. So the first year and a couple months, I was swinging really crazy hours across time zones. I still do to some extent. But the last couple months specifically, me and Felicia have been rotating our schedule to be even more morning people. I normally wake up at 5. Now I'm waking up at 4:30 because I'm trying to carve out that space to exercise, pray, and reflect. And but when I did that, like, I was carving out more time in the morning for me, for reflection, for exercise, not more time in the morning to connect with you as partners. And also by making that choice, it cuts my evenings in, which means I can't go as hard connecting with people in the US. So what I've had to focus a lot on, which has been a great development for me, is people development. Like, I have a small core team of mighty volunteers that care about the work that I do, and they support me even though they don't necessarily get paid or rewarded for the work they do. They're just here for passion and friendship. And I've been investing in them and delegating really ambiguous problem spaces and hard, challenging political landscapes to them, and just kind of like nudging them. So I guess as I get to finally like globally lead, I'm learning that I have to take care of myself, and rather than putting it on me to destroy my routine and connect with everyone personally, I'm starting to spend most of my effort connecting with a small group and investing in them so that they could own all the US network, which is a really fun experiment for me because it's a relinquishing of control. It's empowering to them, but it's really hard because we're all trying to, like, for instance, communicate the vision of this project and get it in front of the right people, and we all contextualize the vision of the project a little different. I'm going to do a quick distance check because we're trying to do 0.75. So let me see here. 0.4. We need to go a little bit past halfway in order to end at the river. So I think I'll go up towards the next bridge. So yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm doing a great job and I'm happy, even though it's hard. And I oscillate between that and feelings of inadequacy, and humorously being like a little kid in a suit in a room full of men and women that actually know what they're doing. I think I underappreciated leadership as well. Like, as an engineer on the ground, you're navigating the frustration of your world as projects and tasks are delegated and filtered down to you. And then you feel like the people that have made these decisions are out of touch with the reality of the difficulty of what they ask. Whereas now that I'm scaffolding up the leadership path, I'm like, oh shoot, the view's a little different up here. It's hard in different ways. Work's just hard for everybody. That's a lot of fun. Okay, that's my emotional and verbal processing of work for a little bit. I think we're at turnaround. 1 second. I have to kill my notifications. 0.5. We're doing 0.75. Yeah, it's a good turnaround. River's just that way. We'll be there Friday for the fart lick. Maybe. I don't know if I want to run from my house. I'm interested in running at Roppongi Hills. So every Friday morning, I take a train out to Roppongi. Well, I take multiple trains. I think I take 3 trains out to Roppongi Hills, which is beautiful, honestly. And I have physical therapy out there with a lovely guy named Alan. He's good people. And we are on a singular mission to prevent spinal surgery by building strength and core and reclaiming athletic movements in a way that's safe for my body. So it's cool about working with Alan compared to working with MooseABoot, even though they're both great. MooseABoot gives me 3 workouts a week and that support structure that I need, and he sees when I write my reps and he yells at me if I don't try hard. When I'm with Alan, I'm in the gym with him and he also yells at me and he pushes me. And I think what's really an interesting dynamic is I've always been used to lifting by myself, setting my own weights, setting my own reps, and kind of pushing to my own edges, or watching a video workout program, kind of like what you're doing, and like adjusting it to me. But there's never been someone in the loop per rep. With Alan, he lays out whatever the rotation of the day is. He decides whether it's going to be 3 sets, 5 sets, a super set, which is like a pyramid. A pyramid you can kind of increase and then decrease. I think a superset you just build. And then he puts the weight on the thing. So then there's like this interesting dynamic of me being able to do it or not. And also like communicating like when it's too light or when it's too much. So it's neat because Alan's not me. So I know, I perceive that I know my body and what it's capable of and what it should and should not be lifting. But when you add a person in the loop with some level of experience but also some level of uncertainty, it creates really interesting dynamics where like I do burn out more on certain lifts sometimes because he puts it too heavy. So I find that failure in a safe way, right? We're not going for injury. We've talked about ego lifting. So I find that failure, which is awesome. And sometimes those moments, I question if I would have found them on my own if I wasn't also navigating like the interpersonal thoughts of like he's going to see whether or not I squat. I'm here to squat for me, but at the same time I am squatting in front of this guy who's encouraging and in the friendship space. So I do kind of want to show up and be able to do it, even if it's harder than I would prefer to squat. Stuff like that, right? So on your journey with the lifts, you can imagine that I'm in your living room encouraging you. Maybe trick yourself into putting a little bit heavier of a dumbbell in your hands, sometimes with reason. Again, we've talked about ego lifts. We've talked about safety. You're only into the middle of week 2. Your ego can start to show up like week 5, week 8, when you know how to activate the correct muscle groups associated with what you're lifting, then you can start to increase and find those edges of failure where you're going to try to lift something heavy. You're shooting for 8 reps, you get into it and realize this is a 5 rep or a 3 rep, but those 5 to 3 you did lift safe into the fatigue zone until failure occurred, which is good. But you get just as much burn if you lift a lighter, safer weight 12 times. Each thing's just a little bit different, right? So that's been my journey. Let's see, did we make it to 0.75? Did I time that out correctly? 0.71, yeah. So friends, we've done this before. Again, I come from a faith context, but we'll do this little extra path to get it to 0.75. But I come from a faith context, so one of the special things about running for me is it does provide space from my mission or my responsibilities as an engineer in healthcare and as a husband and as a father and all the other things and responsibilities we carry. It allows me to get out of my house, get out of my world, and steal a little bit of silence to reflect and for me to pray and chat with God, coming from my context. So I anticipate, I'll loop it a little bigger. I anticipate that you all have a lot going on in your jobs, in your workplace, in your friends, in your family dynamics, both like your nuclear family and your extended family. You probably are surrounded by noise and stimulus and triggers and challenges. So we're gonna go hang out by the river for, I don't know, 4 to 12 minutes of silence besides nature sounds. And I just want to provide you the space to take some deep breaths, to process through your fitness journey, but maybe you need to process through work and career and aspiration. Maybe you need to find some confidence that you're where you belong right now. Or maybe you need to find some direction that you need to move to something different because it's not working right. Everyone's in a different season and a different space. So I won't pretend that I have the ability to communicate directly into every single person's life moment right now because there's too much going on. There's too much diversity. But I want to be able to include you in a still moment because I think we all need a little bit of stillness. So let's reflect for a little bit and then I will close us out with a tiny bit more walk. Here we go. All right, have fun, friends. Well, that was lovely. That's so nice. Isn't that fun to do? So I just want, if you, what am I trying to say? I want to speak like a blessing or encouragement over you. So if you also feel like a kid in a suit, if you're feeling inadequate in the spaces that you work, in the spaces that you parent, in those circles, if people are saying harsh or negative things over you, if you feel like you're failing, I guess the word for you today is that you belong, that you are gifted and talented in those spaces. If there's gaps, people can learn new things to solve the problems that they face. So even if things are difficult and uncertain and challenging, you still belong. You're still able. And it doesn't mean that you need to stay in a space that's uncomfortable and hard or toxic longer than necessary. That's not what that encouragement or word is, but you might take that and decide it's time to leave because you deserve to be treated differently. But I want you to feel that you can stop running and hiding. You can just show up, be confident with what you can and can't do those things, move on to the next day, and everything else will start to fall into place over time. So anyway, friends, thanks for hanging out. I think I took you for a bonus point, 10 miles or so. But tomorrow we have Moose Lift 1B. I don't know why I did that. Moose Lift 1B. And then from there, I don't know where we go from there. Oh, and you could do the stretch, Moose Stretch B. It's a little early for me. But anyway, friends, I'll see you around.